What's going on, guys? This is Danny from Slow Restoration, and today on the lift we have an Infinity G35S G35 transmission. Then real quick I'll show you. The only thing you have to do to the shifter is remove the shifter knob. As you can see, all of this is still intact. We didn't even remove the cross member, we just unbolted it from the body. On the bell housing there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bolts that bolt in from this direction, and 4 more, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4 that are down low that bolt in from this direction. So to get to those, you remove this panel. But further in the video, I show you how to do all of this. Oh yeah, and the drive shaft, but you only have to remove the front half of the drive shaft. It's actually kind of a cool little car. I didn't know a whole lot about these until I got it in. This is loosely based off the 350Z. It's got the same motor and trans and probably the rear differential and stuff. It's just stretched. It's a 4-door sedan. So it's a cool car. Unfortunately, the clutch hydraulics failed on it. It does have an internal slave cylinder. We already started getting into it a little bit, but it is internal, so the trans has to come out for that. We're on our way to getting this trans out. We're going to do a trans service, fluid service at the same time, so I just went ahead and drained the fluid, so that's draining. We have the exhaust out of our way, of course. There's a couple heat shields you have to remove. There's a cross member up here for the exhaust. It's kind of an exhaust hanger up by the cats. We got that removed. Bracket for your O2 sensor wires. Have that removed. There's a little access panel here, plastic. You remove that. We just went ahead and removed the front too, just in case. We may do an oil change too. I'm not sure yet. This is a 2-piece drive shaft. So once you get this cover off, you can expose the carrier bearing. We backed the bolts and nuts off. Again, remember to always orient this in the same way you took it out. So we took some black spray paint and just sprayed there so we know we get this shaft back in the same rotation as this one. So we'll go ahead and pull this out. We'll get this drive shaft out and keep removing bolts. Get this thing ready to drop out of the car. One of the hardest parts of this job is going to be getting this shifter knob off. They really lock tight that thing on there, thread locker. It's really difficult to get off. Pretty much you have to pop this panel loose, just pull up from this side and it unclips. You can unplug it, twist it to the side, just get it out of your way. You can use a pair of vice grips with a rag on the metal part of the shaft, the shifter shaft, and you just have to grip this thing and spin it. I already got it loosened up, as you can see, but it does spin off eventually and come off, but it is extremely tight on there. Once you get that off, then obviously you can pull your shifter boot and housing off, and then we can finish getting the transmission unhooked. Back underneath, with all the bell housing bolts loosened up, taken out. We do have one in there just kind of for safety. It's loose, but we have the cross member unbolted, jack under it, and it's just a matter of breaking the transmission bell housing loose from the motor block. All right, we got the trans out, as you can see, sitting on the ground. You can see up in here, clutch. The worst part about this job is, one, getting that shifter knob off on the inside. It's very tight, but it's really, once you get that loosened up, the shifter just kind of drops right out. So that's not a big deal. As far as taking the bolts out, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 bolts that go from this direction, and then there's 4 bolts that come from this direction, and you access them through this little removable panel. There's one there, and you can't really see it, but there's one up further on either side too. So once you get all the bolts out, then the next obstacle you face is there's a dowel pin here and a dowel pin there. Getting the transmission separated from the engine block. Those dowels have a tendency to corrode and get kind of sticky. So you might want to hit that with some penetrating fluid, and then you just gotta kind of move it around, get a gap on one side, and just take a pry bar and just gently start working it. And get both sides broke loose. Eventually it will come. It may be a little sticky. This one was very sticky, but as you can see, we got it out, and now we can get inside to replace our. The reason we're taking this apart is because we have the hydraulic slave cylinder failed, and as you can see by all the fluid around here. So we're going to replace the slave cylinder and the master cylinder. Still waiting to decide whether we want to do a clutch. This clutch was supposedly done not all that long ago, so it's up to the customer if we want to replace the clutch or not.
Holy crap, man.
It's a G35
ridiculous,
like
dude. Not quite. Maybe after you're done with it.